time for another round of Brandy. Candid conversations over cocktails about all things brand. With your hosts, Reilly, Newman, and Scott Saunders, the brand developers behind Motif Brands.
Welcome back to another round of Brandy.
Yes, indeed.
We're starting off with some fun brand news regarding Range Rover.
I don't know if it's fun. It's more like eye rolling. It's like, what the heck?
So they just announced a new logo for Range Rover, and if you didn't know, Jaguar and Range Rover Land Rover, they're owned by the same company. They're one joint thing that is like British to the bone. And they had the Jaguar faux pas last year.
Really bad. And I mean, like a bad rebrand that was so just, it went more, I don't know what they were trying to go with the vibe, but it just didn't speak Jaguar. But anybody out there, you can just Google, Range Rover new logo or whatever. It's basically two R's that are, one is upside down and facing the other. But the way the R's are created, it basically just looks like three stacked boxes. Yeah, and then they even showed this pattern that they're doing with like little R's. And Reilly, the first thing out of your mouth, I think, was like, oh, that's going to be for the grill. I guarantee it. And it's just...
Yeah. Well, and so the strategy behind it is that they're trying to go, okay, this is for our luxury EV. And they're trying to... Because the whole Range Rover, Land Rover thing, most people are already confused by that. And it's like, you've got this weird duality between the brands, and one's more higher end. And so this is supposed to be for their EV side of it, which they should have done that with Jaguar. They shouldn't have thrown out the baby with the bathwater with Jaguar. So it's a little better, but it's just like, it's not, it feels such like a knee-jerk reaction, and they're just trying to throw out the heritage of the brand and try to lean more. It is slightly more fashion-y, but it's still kind of like it's not speaking true what Range Rover like really is. And
it doesn't. I think it's a miss. It just doesn't. It doesn't vibe with, the stigma they have. And not to say that you like if you're doing a rebrand. This is a general side note here. If you're doing a rebrand, it's not that you can't pivot and change directions. But there's got to be intentionality, and I got a feeling, they're just trying to be fresh and maybe appeal to a younger audience. I don't know.
Right. And what concerns me is that I did see one little quote from, I think it was like a CEO or someone, but this was supposed to be, because right now I think the company's called like JRR or JRL or something like that, or JLR probably. So Jaguar, Land Rover. And they're trying to separate the Range Rover brand from this. I think they're trying to separate from the mess that they've created with this old, Jaguar stuff, because Jaguar's pretty much, the brand is not doing too well at all. But anyways, on to the main topic today.
Which, speaking of luxury brands, Reilly came up with a new word, and it's Luxperience.
Luxperience.
And why don't you define that for our listeners?
So Lux, coming from luxury, and experience is that, as we've spoken about before, with experiences and that kind of being this where brands are going. I really do see luxury brands leading the way down this path, and there's a couple of really, really awesome examples of brands doing this that I saw recently, and it's kind of crazy because you see luxury brands, whether in technology, fashion, or automobiles, that they'll usually lead the way that then kind of carves new paths and trails because A, they're more profitable, they have more affluent audience who will pay for things for them to actually go try things, and then the other brands will follow. So just like we talked about with Joe Pine and the experience economy and all of that, it's like this is the future for a lot of companies, and it makes sense on a lot of fronts. And so seeing these luxury brands do this and them stepping more into the experience economy and not just focusing on transactions and traditional business, it's cool seeing them go, okay, how do we actually start executing on some of these really pretty off the wall ideas?
And let's be honest, we are talking in these next couple examples very high end luxury brands.
Right.
First one being Louis Vuitton.
Louis.
And them this, why don't you set the, because I believe it's in Singapore.
Shanghai.
Shanghai.
If you know Louis Vuitton, I believe their bags actually aren't real leather. They have PVC in them, and they've become one of the top fashion brands, especially in Asian markets. And so they are huge. LVMH, they've purchased a lot of fashion brands. I think they purchased Tiffany's about a couple years ago, and they just have been absorbing everything. They're one of the richest owners in the world, and one of their big markets is the Asian markets. So over there, they'll launch some of these crazy ideas and new products that just go wild.
Yeah.
And this new experience that they launched, they essentially made a giant cruise ship, and it's called the Louis.
But it looks like an old vintage steamship.
Yeah, it almost looks like,
You know?
like the Queen Mary or something. It looks like something like really cool.
It's on cement. It's not in the water, but you enter, and even you enter through kind of the front of the ship down this long corridor into the interior, and the ship has their classic iconic pattern that they have on their bags all along the side in steel, and then even the anchor that is positioned into the ground. That looks like it's anchoring the ship, has their classic, monogram, the LV, and the way the ship, the stack, it all looks like stacked luggage.
Right. Yeah.
And you go inside this thing, and it's long hallways, and it's I don't know, it's like an explorative museum, not museum, but it's like no retail store ever has been done, and they're leaning so much into everything that people have come to expect with the brand, and to the fine details, to the opulence of it.
Yeah.
And it's wasn't cheap.
Yeah. No, and for them to go to these lengths, it's like, yeah, of course they're high end fashion, but it does speak to just the elegance, and even the theme of the cruise ship. There is this elegance about cruise ships that we romanticize it, right? There's something about that, and I'm happy Scott mentioned the stacked luggage, because it was like last year Louis Vuitton did this. They're reconstructing one of their buildings like in New York, and instead of just the drop cloths on the side, they're just dark, and when they're doing construction along the scaffolding, they fully branded those and printed their own where it looked like their pattern, and they made the entire skyscraper look like stacked luggage, and it went viral. People were taking pictures of it because it was just like in the middle of this busy urban scape, you have these giant luggage that was pretty much free marketing and advertising for them. It just cost them the printing fee, but
and the whole ship, and even like they have like, it looks like a bar, and even the walls look like stacks of different type of black and white luggage with all the ornate, all the things that they've come to expect. We're gonna, if you go into the episode description for this particular episode, we're gonna include the link to a couple of these examples that we're gonna be talking about. So you guys, while you're listening or afterwards want to go actually see what we're talking about, there'll be links down in the description for that.
And so for another example, so Louis, they went after this where they have dining, there's shopping, they have their actual products on board. There's all kinds of stuff, a bar, like Scott said. So there's all these things going on. It's almost like this little mall that's all just themed as Louis Vuitton. And coincidentally, like Prada, another fashion house, has been doing their own concepts like this that are very experiential. But what I like about their approach to it is that in the two concepts they've done, which has been a restaurant concept and a cafe, is that they don't sell their products. They're selling just the food and beverage products, which I think it's a cool move on the brand part to actually like divorce yourself from the actual product and just allowing the brand to speak through these different channels. But we'll include some pictures of those or links as well. But
and again, that the essence of the brand with Prada and like all the details of their products is littered throughout. It's kind of like when like with Disneyland, it's like you've got all these little mouse, Mickey Mouse, the mouse ears, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like subtly used in decor and treatments and little nuances in the interior design. Same thing with these brands. So it's so much more like if you're into Prada and you maybe have Prada products, that you would go to this coffee shop, you go to this restaurant, and it's going to be, it's the draw of it because you're already a fan of the brand. And so the brand is really leaning into the intrinsic value and relationship that the brand has with its audience. And that's what allows some of these bigger luxury brands to, they're not going to be opening up chains all over the world, but they create these one-offs, and they're a sight to behold. I think that's where we're kind of talking about is like it's becoming experiential. It's going beyond, the brand's going beyond just selling the handbags or the luggage or whatever it is.
Yeah, and that's what so Ralph Lauren did this in New York. I think he has a couple now, but he had little coffee shops called Ralph's, and he had this cool, just like Americana style that has little, Euro kind of cafe vibe.
The vintage
to it.
look. It's just
and
so
all
cool.
the employees there wear white apron. Like it looks so cool. It's like it's out of a breakfast at Tiffany's or something. Like this is like classic. And so he successfully did that, and that has gone viral. And even younger people really enjoy it. I know people who have gone to New York just for that. And it's just really cool the way they do it. But like to Scott's point, it's like they've now taken these brands and these vibes and these themes that the fashion brand represents, and now they're transplanting it into these different kind of environments. And like it is kind of like, it reminds me of even like in Star Wars land, where at Disneyland, where you have the Star Wars theme that you're enjoying in the atmosphere, and then they have the bar. They have all these different little things that you're enjoying, and it's changing and evolving, and you're actually able to like enjoy it. And the food, the beverages are what they are. They could be high caliber, they could be just normal, but the theme is making the experience that much more enjoyable. It's like it's like a speakeasy or anything like that, where you're buying into the experience as a whole. So overall, it's like, okay, we know you're not a huge fashion house like
and so let's kind of drop it down a little bit, lower hanging fruit for relevancy. Like for instance, other stores that come to mind in this type of thing is like the Lego stores. And probably a lot of you have stepped foot into a Lego store, and it's different than back in the day when I would go into Toys R Us to buy a Lego set, or you go into a any toy store to buy Lego sets. They have them. Target sells Lego sets, right? But when you go into a Lego store, and literally there are huge exhibits of giant Lego builds, life-size Chewbacca built out of Legos in the center of the room, and they have little areas where kids can, create custom figures or build things while they're doing it. And they also offer more exclusive sets that you can't buy in Target or other places. Apple Store has done this too. I feel like with their iconic, kind of all glass approach,
aesthetic,
minimal, a minimalistic, centerways with the products that you're free to touch. It's not just boxes of electronics and boxes on a shelf, but it's stuff that you can hands-on explore and experience. It takes retail to another level.
Right. Yeah. And you might go, okay, well, that's Apple, right? That's their brand, that's their styling, that's Lego. Lego gets to be fun and playful. And I think the thing that a lot of business owners miss is that Apple's playing into like the theme of Apple. When you start looking at things in themes, you start seeing how these things are packaged and reframed. Is that, Apple uses a lot of glass and a lot of these sleek modern materials. Steve Jobs was obsessed with glass and he really loved it. But overall, it was like, now what you expect from the Apple brand is now this theme that you see on the website, you see it in the packaging, you see it in the stores, and it's going full out, and you're seeing it in all these different areas. No matter the business that you're in, you have a theme. Even if you're a hamburger,
you have a motif.
Yeah, there's a motif. There's a theme that is around your business because there's expectations that come along with whatever service or product you're selling. So if you are selling hamburgers and fries, there's a theme to that. If you close your eyes, you can see it. And so when you go to these places, that's why Five Guys and In-N-Out and Carl's Jr. all can have this similar vibe where it's like white tile, you have all these motifs that run through the theme, but that's where also you can stand out and do things that are different or lean into your own theme and develop that. But there are, the power of themes is really kind of integrated in all that we do. Is like when you go to an Italian restaurant like Olive Garden, they lean into the Italian theme. Yeah. And there's a lot of power in that, is that like even someone who goes to an Italian restaurant, they'll have a better time if there's Italian music playing. It's weird if there's not. And
it doesn't even have to be something that is a franchise. If you have a small retail store, there's a local used bookstore in our town, and shout out to them because they even have, like, you enter through their doorway and they've got this huge arch in the middle that you kind of walk through that's constructed of all these old books that are open, closed, and it's kind of creating this cool little interior piece that's kind of a signature piece that you walk through to then enter their bookstore. And again, it's just that idea of it. Your store, if you have a retail store, it's not about just putting product on a shelf and having a register in the corner and a smiling employee to greet the customers.
Right.
Think of ways that you can put yourself in the customer's shoes when they're walking in. How can you either direct the flow of traffic? How can you take them, through your interior space in a way that leans into your brand?
You think of shopping at Target versus shopping at Walmart or some other alternative. It's like, what makes those different, right? The products can change somewhat, but what is Target actually selling? Target shelves the product. They kind of help organize it, but beyond that, it's the Target experience of why people choose Target. You go to Target because there is a Starbucks, right? That's brand association. You go to Target because all
I know so many young moms who, when they have a minute to themselves, it's for them,
it's a thing.
Be able to go to Target without the kids, without the husband, and just meander. Like, that's almost like Disneyland. It's like, where are you going to go for, you got a couple hours to yourself. I'm going to go walk through Target by myself.
And it's like, really, it's the experience of it. And it's like, that's what IKEA is known for. That's what Costco is known for. That's what Target's known for. It's like, they sell products in there, but that's not the point. It's the theme of it. Just like the bookstore. It's like the bookstore is they're leaning into the book motif and the theme of it and creating this experience that really kind of helps sell and move books.
And even the methodology of Costco moving things around a lot. It's like,
the treasure hunt.
Sometimes changing things around makes it feel like it's a new store. It's fresh.
It provides opportunities on both sides of it. Is that if we go, okay, every business does have a theme, and that theme comes with expectations. If you're selling beauty product, if you're selling, tax services or whatever it is, like there's certain stigmas and expectations that come with each of them. And so that gives you opportunity to either lean into certain aspects of those themes to help create that experience, like the Italian music for selling more Italian wine. Studies prove that's possible. Say if you sell French wine, or you sell more French or German wine if you're playing French or German music. And so you can use these themes and these expectations to help the experience, or you can also throw curveballs, kind of like what Scott was saying about Costco, is like, if there are these expectations of the experience or the theme, then you can sometimes be contrarian to those just to stand out a little and push the consumer a little off balance where they take note and they wake up. And even like with Motif, we do certain things even on our website that most agencies don't do, because we know that when someone thinks of an agency or marketing, they have these certain preconceived notions that come to
everyone
mind.
Does the same thing. So, we try to change things up a little bit, and even the approach, of being, like you said, contrarian. Again, always thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
Like Prada opening up a coffee shop, but it's very Prada-like. It looks like Prada. Prada customers and people that love the brand are going to drink coffee there because it's cool,
Yeah. And fashion, again, is like, it's one aspect where, I'm buying this to look a certain way, right? That's what fashion gives us. It gives us self-expression.
It's identity.
Right. And then now you're able to go, now I get to step inside that. That's awesome. But that's no different than what Netflix is doing, is that they're spending tons of money going, hey, you love Stranger Things, you love enjoying that. Now we're going to let you step into it in our Netflix houses, wherever they're calling it, where you'll be able to go into these experiences.
Yeah.
And so just start thinking like that and going, okay, how is this, how can my business evolve with how the economy is evolving? And it's going to provide more value for your audience in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. And again, we know that almost all of you don't have that kind of bankroll budget to, mirror those approaches. But the concept and the principle is just as valid nonetheless, and can work for, a service company to, a little mom and pop store. Thanks for always, listen to what we have to say, and we appreciate that. So until next time, cheers.